that's the sort of the Kshatriya spirit. Is a Kshatriya's job is to defend. So I don't know what happened exactly to you. It sounds extraordinary. It must have been a terrible experience to be beaten for being a Hindu. But like I say, there usually are. I remember, this is an awfully long time ago, but it's an archetypal experience for me. Once Prabhupada gave a lecture in Kensington Town Hall before it was demolished. And at the end of the lecture, a Christian who was in the audience stood up, and he was feeling upset because Prabhupada had said, I can't remember what it was exactly he objected to, but I think Prabhupada had said that Krishna was God. And that made him very angry, because he said it's not in the Bible. So he said something like he quoted the Bible. And he, was quite offensive, really, angry to Prabhupada. And we had one devotee who was up on the stage close to Prabhupada. His name is Padmalochan. Actually, he recently passed away in Mayapur. But Padmalochan was a true Kshatriya, that was his spirit. He was, if ever there was danger, he was in the front. So he immediately began, he got up with the foot. He told me later, he said that he was fully intending to climb down into the audience and smash this guy in the face. He had to be restrained. And but Prabhupada didn't respond. He didn't directly answer them. He turned to Rabhasanandan, who was our sort of star preacher, an American sannyasi at the time, full of. He was also a very passionate person, but his passion was to argue and defeat, by argument. So he called Rabhasanandan. He indicated to Rabhasanandan, "You answer." And Rabhasanandan says, in recalling that occasion, he said, he got up, walking to the microphone without the faintest idea what he was going to say. His mind just went blank. And when he got to the microphone, and this is all on record, you can hear the tape, he began by saying, Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya, and began reciting the whole mantra to Prabhupada. And as he did so, some words sort of came into his head, and he began to talk. And he spoke for about 3 or 4 minutes. And what he said was actually amazing. It was amazing. And like I say, he had no idea what he was going to say, but he said in the Bible, it says, we follow the Bible. The Bible tells us that we should glorify the name of God, and that's what we're doing. And then he turned it around, and he said something about, I can't remember what Jesus, but something about, how can you claim to love God, and yet you kill all the innocent creatures? Simply killing. And he spoke a bit like you were just saying, about the Christian society is simply killing, something like that. Anyway, this man who had been full of anger and challenge, he turned and fled, actually, which is probably a good idea. And then Rabhasanandan said, so we will chant, and with Prabhupada's fool, Prabhupada was so happy. We all then began to have a kirtan, and the kirtan was so sort of outrageous that devotees were jumping on the seats. It was very ecstatic kirtan. So anyway, if you have a challenge, the best thing I suppose then is to preach. If you can't preach, if the person's not going to listen, then the best thing is to leave, actually, rather than get into a fight. I know it's not always easy if you're actually, especially if you're being beaten. That's horrible. But generally speaking, Christians are like other people. They're of many different kinds. Some are good, some are bad, some are medium. And you have to judge it by the circumstance. But most of us, I think we've learned, haven't we, that it's not much point in getting into an argument. argument with a Christian. Just let them be. Yes.
Thank you for your next class. I recently came across with two, let's say, friends, Sai Baba and Rama Kumaris, and I was trying to understand one thing. They treat them as gods, personally, this person as a god, and Prabhupada used to blame all those followers quite heavily, saying that obviously they're not gods. So I'm just trying to understand.
Sorry, you said Prabhupada used to blame?
Used to blame people who claim themselves gods.
Okay.
So my question is, in our following the history, looking at the history of Vaishnava, Lord Chaitanya, Krishna, all of them were persons as well. So how we say that they are justified as persons and as gods, while all other people can't say that they're leaders or whatever are gods?
I don't think I understood your question.
Yeah, I can try to say. I mean, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was a person, he was a god.
A god?
Yeah. Reincarnation of Krishna.
Okay, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. Yeah.
So it happened 500 years ago or something. So at the same time, these people who perceive their leaders as a god, so how can we explain it to them?
That their leader is not God.
Yeah.
That's very hard, isn't it? You know, if somebody has faith that should we take, for example, the Swaminarayan mission, they look upon their founder, Swaminarayan, in a similar way to you look upon Lord Chaitanya, actually. So I don't know I don't think it's a good idea to try to go and argue with them about that. At least they have, I don't know much about the Swaminarayan mission, but the basic concept is they are servants. Yeah? You know, Krishna, Nitya Krishna Das, Jivara Swarupa Haya. Nitya Krishna Das, our basic sort of self-conception is that I'm a servant of God. Okay, I'm a servant of Krishna. If somebody has not yet come to realize that the personality of Godhead is Krishna, but nevertheless they believe in God in some other form, right? They might be a Christian, they might be follow Swaminarayan. That's to be encouraged, isn't it? That mood of service. That's what we particularly wish to encourage. And then we can safely give a certain level of friendship to those people come. And then they, by friendship, they might then, start to think about Krishna. But in any case, Prabhupada said, particularly what we're opposed to is impersonalism, which you'll find all over the place. Yeah.
John Lennon took him in the park, and he worked. Are there elements of impersonalism in
I would say that. The question is, are there elements of impersonalism in John Lennon's song Imagine? I don't know the whole song, but I think somewhere in there there's one or two impersonal.
Was that the reason why Prabhupada left the park with things, or was it something?
Was that why Prabhupada left Chittan's Park? No. No, actually, Prabhupada needed to get back into the city where he wants to preach, and it was the right time to go. You don't want to be you don't want to be, what's that, an unwelcome guest, do you? You stayed there for more than 2 months. But John Lennon was always respectful to Prabhupada. He was always respectful to him.